dialing in. Lots of new numbers on here, so thank you for waking up with us. And again, my name is Byron Deese, Dreammakers Network. Originally, sometimes I'm like, where am I from? Like originally from Florida, live in Florida. I spent so many of my years in Baltimore, and this network has truly grown and birthed out of the Baltimore, Maryland market. And it's just a blessing to be able to see folks who are dialing in from everywhere early in the morning, multiple zip codes, and even for folks who are connecting with us here online through social media. Thank you. And you'll see this later. But it's just great to be able to come together early in the morning on a Saturday where you can really get that extra sleep in. Well, for the purpose of personal development, that's always, that's the crazy part. You say, wow, why are they on this call? I thought we were getting ready to sell something, and even if that's the case and you have a unique objective that you're really pushing to the market, whether it be business, community, ministry, education, whatever the case may be, we want that type of intentionality involved as well. But I think the main thing that we really try to focus on is the focus of personal development, what that means for you, what that means for your life, what that means for your growth and development. What does progress mean to you? As you're working hard every day, trying to be of value to you and your family, what does progress really mean? And do you feel as if on a day-to-day basis, you are actually making progress? And the power of being able to organize multiple people who are thinking about that, who are thinking about becoming better each day. But the collective spirit about that is what we call the mastermind. And when 2 or 3 people come together in the spirit of harmony, that the collective mind can help us to grow, develop, access information, access that unique power that we so desperately try to search for. And it's great. And that's why we've been doing this call for almost 11 years, coming up here in the next month. And it's just truly a blessing to have that type of consistency involved in our lives in a way that is intentionally focused on helping you to become better. It's no other objective that we have here. We're not, I can't even highlight anything that would be an ulterior motive, if you will. So the only motive we have is your success. And I should give a shameless expectation, because I feel like if we're hanging around folks who are being successful, then at some point it's going to rub off on us as well. So we want you to win. We want you to win. We want you to be successful and succeed, and to succeed in multiple ways, not just in a one-dimensional perspective, but we want you to be able to look around at the things that matter to you and see growth. When you look at the things that truly matter to you, the things that you identify as your why, we want you to grow and progress in those things. And it's worth just taking time and writing down, like, what is your why? What is your why, and why is that your why? I think this week that I'm on family vacation this week, and we've probably said the phrase, if your why isn't big enough, what is it? Yeah. If your why doesn't make you cry, then your why isn't big enough. We probably said that at least 5 or 6 times this week, because you're always trying to reconnect, if you will, with your why, with the thing that makes you get up and do the stuff you do every day. Just those that if it's about responsibility and protection, okay, cool, that's your why. If it's about financial gain, that's your why. If it's about family, whatever the case may be. So that's what this call is about. That's what this network is about. And so many times we're able to use that and come together and do things together in business and community, whatever the case may be. But we just want to make sure that it's clear this morning that this call is about you and your progress. And there's nothing else to pepper on that, right? And so truly appreciate you. Appreciate your energy this morning. I feel it. Appreciate your willingness to connect. And I'm excited to hear from you on the call this morning. Well, I think it's also important for us to highlight the fact that we are more than halfway through the 90-day goal setting challenge. It is every year we host this goal setting challenge. It's 90-day focus where we commit from Memorial Day to Labor Day. A set of goals. It's almost like starting your year over. People walk in the year with New Year's resolutions. And I think probably that's why we started doing this 10 years ago, because it's like by the time you started in January or something, you start asking people about, well, where are you? Like, how did everything go with your goal setting objectives? And then, you know what? It was this happened, that happened. So it felt like it was important to launch something for the summer to give you that chance to not just have this kind of 12-month goal, but to really shorten that. And every year, man, we've just been, I think it's just, I just keep looking back on these years, and every year you see these stepping stones. And that's why I like looking at Facebook memories, because it pops up things from each year over the years. And it's like, yeah, I remember we were talking about that. And now we're kind of 3 levels past it. And it's just a unique power in that constant direction of growth. And if that's on the top of your mind. And in this month of, or more so, in this month of July, actually, we're almost in August now, where we're focused on the doing aspect, where we carved out this goal for the 90-day goal setting challenge of be, do, have, to become the things that you are focusing on, to make sure that you're in a process of doing, and what that really means. You meet people, and it's like, just have great ideas, but at no point are they just willing to dive in and do it. It's just, it's very, it sounds so beautiful in theory, but it's always about like, okay, at what point are you going to get into that? And that's what this month is about, is taking yourself from theory to practice, and at least testing to see how that feels. Like, what does it mean to start doing the things that you've been thinking about a lot? And even if you've been doing something and you've kind of measured what you've been doing, and now you're at a point where you're like, well, how can I actually, now that I see that the results of this, and I'm still kind of focused on progress, what do I need to do now to take it to the next level? And that unique thought, that mindset, that ability and willingness to do it is what this month is all about, is to quickly go from thought and inspiration to practice and application. That I can tell you, and I'm saying these words, but listen, man, there are so many people who cannot do that, especially when it's something that is deemed to be difficult or out of the comfort zone. To say, man, I really think that this is something I probably should be doing, and I got all the reasons why I should be doing it, but that subconscious who's trying to protect you will say you should not be doing that right now. Maybe you should do it, after we get that figured out and get that piece done. Cool, because we got to protect you, because and I listen. I'm living proof of someone who has tried to blow up the subconscious and just go straight through and do it, and you realize, maybe I should have. Maybe I should have held back. Maybe I didn't have all the tools. But at the end of the day, at least you have actively attempted something and you've measured the success. And at least you can be able to say, or the failure, if you will. And I kind of led with success, because I feel like if you tried it, that in and of itself, the act is successful. Because it gives you the ability to tweak and do it again. Like, what didn't work this time? But I just want to really highlight the power of being in the spirit of doing, and not just doing something just to keep yourself busy. It's like, oh, I got this going on, I got that going on, but making sure that the doing that you're involved in is uniquely lined up with your goals and dreams, the things that you identify as, this is my why. This is the work for me. This is why I move, and I'm more than willing to just do this kind of work for the rest of your life, or do this kind of work until the job is done, until I get to the next point. And but you can articulate why this is why you're moving this way. This is why you spent so much time doing X, Y, and Z. Like I say, it's one thing for us to be focused enough to put food on the table and take care of our families. We're all here for that, right? Question is, are you also in the mix of that, working on those things that you think about? You may not share with other people, but that conversation that you and God have about this thing that's burning, it's been burning and it's been working on you for a while. Are you willing to put it to practice? And that's what this call is about, to be able to test the waters on that and have that conversation to see, where are we? Have we tried it? Why haven't I? Maybe there's some resources on this call. Folks who are here right now may have gone through that experience. We want to make sure that we're open. We feel like this is a room to communicate. We've kind of reduced whatever fear is out there. And sometimes folks aren't willing to verbalize to the world that this is something I've been focused on. I've been thinking a lot about, because, once you say it, right, then it's real. It's one thing to think it, but once you say it and we hear it, now it's real. And, this kind of group, we're going to want to get behind you. So I want to take a second. Let's open up the call, because I know we've had a very active month. And I've talked to some of you guys one-on-one. The work is being done. Folks are going at it. Folks are failing. Lots of successes too. But let's take a second. Let's open up the call. Anybody want to share the month of July, the work that you've been working on? How do you kind of assess what's been going on? Do you feel like you're making progress in this 90-day goal setting challenge? Do you feel like you hit a wall and you need to kind of dust off and get back in the game? Let's take a second and open the call now. Please feel free to join in.
So real fast, is Cheyenne on the call here?
Let's see here. No, I don't think she is. But yeah.
1624.
Nope, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Oh, she is now. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Cheyenne.
Perfect. Good to hear your voice. You called it up, brother.
I'm good.
I put it out there, didn't I? Yes. Hey, listen, Cheyenne, Dwayne Mitchell here. We met, this past week. So I just put it out there with your name, and boom, you just joined it. So thanks for joining. Hey, Brian, can you do me a favor? Can you give like a 30-second cliff note synopsis of what you just said about 30-day goal and the why? Can you just sum up real fast for her? Because Cheyenne, I met her this past week. She has that it. But I'll let her tell her story and what she's doing, and hopefully, I'm sure that we can help her out with her situation. So
perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining in this morning. It's always great to connect with folks, and so we kind of started off a little earlier, right around 7, just kind of highlighting the purpose of the Dreammakers Network. And we've been really over the past 10 years, every summer we host a 90-day goal setting challenge, and where we focus on, it's almost like starting the year all over again, but to highlight the things that really are passionate to you, that you want to accomplish within the next 90 days. We focus on it more so from a Memorial Day to Labor Day perspective, where you really take your summer and dedicate it to your immediate goals and really kick off what potentially could be some long-term goals, but really put yourself in a position to be, do, and have the things that truly matter to you. And so So then we're right when you jumped on, we wanted to open up the call, give folks an opportunity to kind of talk about the month of July and what the past 30 days has done for you, kind of highlight the drama and the details. What were some of the successes? What were some of the failures? Even some of the places where you may be and you feel like I made some steps. I'm just trying to reevaluate how to get back in the game. So definitely feel free to share, talk a little bit about your past 30 days, give us a little background as to who you are, and we'd love to hear from you.
Now I
just feel free.
Talk now.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So basically, I'm a real estate agent, and I just started my credit repair business. Within the past 30 days, it's been, I want to say slow because I'm just getting back in the groove of things. I've gotten a little discouraged. So I'm trying to figure out exactly how and what to do in order to plan out my next step, because how I began didn't kind of work out. I was given more information to my clients, and they would just come for the free consultation and then kind of opt out or never come back. So I'm just trying to figure out exactly the plans to basically evaluate what I'm doing. And then I also just created my 5-part DIY seminar. So in September, I kind of want to launch it. So I'm just getting just starting it up. It started in January. So I just literally solidified my business in January.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure it all out.
Well, you laid out some really key points, especially given your industry in real estate. And I have to tell you, because I'm also a financial professional, not in the real estate space, but I spend a lot of time with folks like yourself who are working with families, whether it be on the residential or commercial side. You have a lot of the right pieces together. And I'll tell you what's helped me in this financial services world. It works a lot better if you're able to kind of provide a system, more of an organized approach to these moving pieces of financial services, because you mentioned, what role does credit repair play for someone who's looking to purchase a home or a property if it's a business, and then at what role, how do you get access to the folks into that market, and just being able to have a nice flow and provide folks with, here's how we approach it, and here's why this works for you, and here's your network of mortgage brokers, and here's the go-to banks to work with given your situation, and just being able to have the right team in place. And so networking is a big part of that, and given your location, and making sure that you have kind of your team of folks who you're providing leads to, they're providing leads back to you. You're going to make them look good every time they refer business to you, and you hope that they're doing the same thing. And then kicking the tires on the system that you're currently using. That we go through processes with vendors and service providers who are actually doing a lot of the back end work. So I would say it's definitely important to make sure you have a right team of folks. Stay a student of what you're working on, especially early in the game, and identify some folks who are really kicking butt, the folks who are the masters at what it is that you're working on. Who are the best real estate agents in the region? Who are the best, folks who are doing credit repair, and how did they do that? And really become an avid student. That's going to help you kind of craft your story in a way. It may not be a carbon copy of what those, greats have done in their world and in their business, but it's going to be perfect for your market, because we all have our own, especially when early on, you feel like I'll just do business with anybody, whatever the case may be. But it's going to become a point. You'll be like, you know what? I have some passion about a certain market, and here's why. And the more you can tell a story, the more engaging it will become for folks who will want to do business with you, and they'll start sending you referrals because they realize you do great work, you care about your clients, so hats off to you for taking the steps to, get your incorporation set up, make sure you got your business banking accounts and all that good stuff separating between the personal and the business. And, but at this point, it's all about building your team. I'd love to talk to you offline, but I really appreciate you highlighting and just being willingness to talk through this. Because, the challenge is sometimes we hit a wall, we're trying to get the right guidance, and the more guidance you can get on a day-to-day basis of the people who are winning, that's a big point. You don't want to be in the room with the folks who hadn't really figured it out either, right? So you definitely want to surround yourself with the winners, right? And so whatever it takes to do that, if that means attending the right conferences and learning the best practices and all that stuff, you have to factor that in and figure out how to pay for that, but you got to do it. So, but I'd love to connect with you offline, and talk about it in more detail. But thank you for jumping on and sharing. Now, where market are you? Are you in Philadelphia?
Yes, I'm Philadelphia.
Perfect. Now, Dwayne, how that connection come together with the two of you?
Hey, Brother D. So this what happened. So I was getting my truck repaired, right? And long story short, my truck was in the shop for a couple of days. He told me it was going to be done by 2, right? So I get there about 1:30. It has to be done a little earlier. It didn't happen. I was frustrated. I was on my way to buy another vehicle, and as I'm about to go up there, the guy called me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we just sold it." So I was just hot, livid, mad. And then come to find out, when I was ready to go, they said, "Oh, this part is broken, so I need another part," because he broke the part when he was installing it. So I'm there from like 1:30 to like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, right? So anyway, I just had to go for a walk. So I walk over what used to be the Green Turtle, right? Unless the Green Turtle's not there. So, all right, well, let me go to Applebee's. And you guys know me, I don't like chain restaurants. I like more independent, shops, whatever. And there's this place, say, what's the name of the restaurant? Grab something?
Crab de Jour.
Okay, so So let me go check this out, right? So that was the old Green Turtle. So I walked in, whatever, had a seat. And I'm sitting at the bar, and boom, there she is. And it was her and the other bartender. We just had a fantastic conversation. So, DC, me, I was at the bar, I can talk to, the crack in the wall. But her story just shined out to me. We just clicked, you know what I mean? It's kind of like you and when you and Paz, when the Dr. Trudell, when you guys went to, when you guys went down to New Orleans, it was like that. And, we just got it in. So she was telling me her story, then, so my story a little bit, so we was going back and forth. And then, so about, I call, and I was like, oh, matter of fact, we have a call this Saturday coming up. You should join.
Jump on.
Yeah. So great people, great vibe. I love her energy. I love what she's about. I love the fact that she's from Philly. And she's open and honest. She's like, well, back in the day, I was like this, but now I'm like that. If I'm going on, I'm like, beautiful. I love it. So she's a go-getter. She's hungry. She has the energy. Basically, when she was talking about her business, I saw that sparkle in her eyes.
I love it.
I was like, oh, okay. Yep, love it.
And that's half the battle. That's half the battle, right? That's half the battle, because how do you approach what you're doing? If you can quickly find yourself saying, I'm just tired, and it's that thing that we go back and forth with our comfort zone, and maybe even we have to be careful, but even maybe sometimes the folks who are in our current circle, we have to make sure that people who love us, they don't want us to be stressed. They don't want us to be in situations where, we're kind of outside and frustrated and all that kind of stuff. But when you have, especially when you're working on something new, that's why it's so important to have those winners in your room and in your circle and serving as mentors and a guiding post as to where you're going, because they have been there. And it's nothing against your current circle, because this happens a lot, but you want to be with people when you're working on something new they can highlight where you are and what's more than likely to happen if you stay focused on a certain regimen. And so getting to that repetitious activity of doing the right things every day, you'll find the results. It'll stare you in the face, but that's where we are when we're starting something new. And it's exciting to be able to kind of take moments like this to share what's worked, what's not working, what do I need to do now to at least head in the right direction. So
no, seriously, because that's exactly where I'm at. Like, I'm at the point where, because I work for Keller Williams.
Okay.
And I started with Keller about a year ago. And when I started real estate with Keller Williams, and Keller Williams is great for when you're learning, but I think corporate America, they're greedy. So when I started my business, and I'm like, I'm going to do credit repair because I want to help people reach their goals. I don't want to just be someone who just be like, come back to me when you're ready. So when I started my business, Keller Williams tried to go up under my nose and try to take that from me because I was working with their tech person to help build my website. And he was like he was like greedy, just like, oh, you got something beautiful, and like, what? And they were trying to steal my ideas. And when I asked for them to sign NDA, they were like, no. And I'm just like, cool, I got what you guys are going at. So I had to go out and patent all my trademarks, patent all of my ideas. I spent $10,000 last year, and that kind of took me out. That's why I'm working at credit insurance, trying to get my credit cards back under control and everything so that I can kind of have that, extra cushion. Because right now, I don't have that, and I don't have the money to go out and get event space because Keller Williams, they're not kind of like letting me use their event spaces for my business. And it's like, and to be honest, I don't want to just put my ideas out because they're not all patent, and I don't have the money to kind of patent them. And I have something beautiful, and if they get up under it, they have the money to kind of make it my dream and steal my goal. Like, and I can't.
Got it.
I can't because I know what is good. So it's just
and I'll tell you this,
hard.
and I'll tell you this one piece, right? Especially when it comes to protecting what it is that you're building from an idea perspective. Number one, I wouldn't worry so much about them taking your ideas, because at the end of the day, they've built the business the way they know how to build their business. What you're creating and building is unique, and it'll never be, even if they did attempt to create it, you haven't shared all that is part of your design. And at the same time, it's all about how successful the market that you're pursuing is. And if they don't know the market that you're actively pursuing, it's not something that you should lead in at. It shouldn't be fearful at this stage of the business. I would say just push the gas. Now, I will say it does sound like, though, this may be a good time for you to take a look at other agencies, if you will, that's a much better fit for what you. That's a bit more independent. They give you kind of the back office that you need to be successful, but aren't really trying to manage you as an agent, but you're more of an independent broker. And so, because that gives you kind of the freedom to be able to design and build the way you want to build. They're really trying to push you under the model that they've highlighted, and rightfully so. That's their business model. So I think you're just at a stage of your career where making sure you have the right partner to help you to grow under the mindset and the design that you created for your business. That's where, so Keller Williams, they like you say, it's a great place to get started, understand the business, get licensed, all that good stuff. But it sounds like you've designed a business model that's outside of their scope. And last thing you want is to feel threatened in your own house, And so this sounds like a good time to begin to shop those guys and figure out what's the best fit for you.
That's definitely what I was doing, but you kind of solidified like my train of thought. I'm gonna mute you guys because I'm gonna get my daughter ready and she's gonna be loud.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Great to meet you.
We all understand. We all have them. Yep.
Go ahead. Great to meet you. I look forward to connecting with you offline as well. So I'll make sure I reach out to you after the call.
Okay, thank you.
Oh. All right, brother Mitchell. I appreciate you jumping in, man, and getting us rolling this morning.
Yeah, you know that.
Yes, sir.
So if you don't mind me piggybacking on that, so we're talking about achievements and failures last 30 days. I'm just going to start off with I had a big failure. So remember last month I was talking about coaching and being coachable and finding a great coach.
That's right. Right.
We know that flow, right? Yeah. So I was on a mission, and through social media I found a coach that specialized in nutrition, eating, weight loss, and health. All right, fine. But the amazing thing about it was he was my high school wrestling coach.
Oh, wow.
I've seen him on social media for the last 5 years, right? And when they asked me how, I'm like, oh, it's one of these gimmick things, whatever. But I was watching his results. I'm like, okay, like I said, I need to be a certain weight. I want to be a certain weight, by Labor Day. But anyway, so I reached out to him. And we were going through a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm telling him what I'm doing. Telling me my workouts. Sometimes I get out and my eating habits, and I told him I know what it is. It's my eating habits, right? So which I've watched on the side. So we sat back, we talked a little bit, but what got me was that the fact that he was my high school coach in wrestling, and I was undefeated that year. He coached me. So I'm thinking, all right, let's keep this undefeated roll rolling, right? All right, coach, tell me what you got. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me how to do it. The only thing that he was doing was selling was just a food, like $450 a month, almost $500 a month to buy to have food be shipped to you. And you eat certain things, but you still have to buy your protein, meaning your chicken or your fish.
Okay.
So I'm like, wait a minute. You're really not coaching me or anything. You're just telling me to buy these particular foods from whatever company you have, which I found it's headquartered in Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
I forget the name of it, but I'll find out it's headquartered in Baltimore. So $500 for these foods, for these supplements and, shakes, whatever, and, these snacks, these little protein bars, whatever, but I still got to buy my protein. I'm like, if it's just really the protein, the food, the bars on it, I can do it myself. I don't need to pay somebody $450 a month. And I think it was like a 3 or 6 month commitment.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, all right, so you want me to get in $1,500 for food, right? But I told him my interest of getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, hitting the gym by 5, so I need that energy to work out. That's my main goal. So I work out from 5 to 7. Yeah, so I failed with finding a coach. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm starting back at ground. I'm okay with it. I was talking to a couple of my buddies at the gym, and we were like, those programs, we heard about them, they're not really good for what you want to do inside of this gym. Maybe if you, want to do a different type of gym, something else, but not this gym, not coming here because, I ain't gonna lie, it's more of a powerlifting gym, bodybuilding gym. Got it. And I told him, my goal is not to be Arnold Schwarzenegger at age 20. My goal is to make sure my belt buckle is not facing down. Again, that's all I want. I want to make sure my belt buckle is not facing down. It needs to be flat, straight, my shirt straight. That's all I want.
Yes. That's a great goal right there, bro.
Okay. Yeah, right, exactly. But I like the mentality that they have because powerlifter bodybuilders, you want to talk about a dedicated, goal-oriented person. I mean, they're in there 5-6 days a week, and they're getting it in. You know what I mean? So that's what I love about it. So I did find. So one of the person in the gym, she is a nutritionist. So again, so I'm starting to work with her. I'm seeing what she has to offer. I'm just going to take it day by day, one day at a time, slowly to see if she can help me out being a nutritionist.
Okay.
But if not, then I just do it the old school way. I just go online and then I break up my trash can, everything in my fridge, everything in my cabinet, in the trash. and then I'm only shopping 2 days a week. I mean, every other day. I'm buying fresh greens, fresh, anything that's green that's fresh. My meats are fresh. I'll go to the store every other day. I'm not going to buy, the white bread and all. Anything that can spoil over 48 hours, I won't buy. I'm sorry, anything that can keep and be fresh over 48 hours.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Buy.
Okay, got it.
Because you know what I'm saying? Because if it lasts, 12, if it lasts 12 hours, cool. 12 hours, okay. But 12 to 40, if it lasts like 2-3 days later, nah, we got some, we got some chemicals in there that's just not good for the body.
Got it.
I got 1 more month left, and I'm gonna, I'm gonna get it in, and I'll report back next month of how that happened. And if that doesn't happen, I'm gonna reach out to the team. Like, all right, guys, who do you guys got for me? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that's where I am. Because it's like I said before, I'm all about coaching. So.
Yo, you put a mouthful in there, right, on that one, dude. It's so crazy because when I was listening to these guys. I had my doctor's appointment last month or a couple weeks ago, and I was talking about working out and trying to live a more healthy lifestyle, and he recommended my fitness app or my Fitness Pal app, and a lot of what you were talking about, they give you kind of those daily, they know your body size, they know your age, all that kind of stuff. Here's how much you should eat. Here's how much you should work out. But the one big takeaway that I've gotten from this thing is they do highlight the food intake as like 70% of the goal, and then the workout is the other 30%. So it is usually, when a lot of times we think it's the other side around,
right.
You need to be working out.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's interesting when you mentioned about the guy who you reached out to, your old coach, because it's one of those situations where for people who are 100% like, I know I'm not going to do the right thing in terms of buying the right food and all that, like they just give up that responsibility and use someone like him who's going to map out a meal plan, and they're just willing to pay it. It's that demographic of people who are probably his clients, if you will. So if you kind of already know how you're willing to meal prep and do it yourself, then those kind of services may not make a lot of sense. I meet folks even on the financial services side who need some guidance, but they're very willing to be hands-on and do it themselves. They just don't know all the tools and all the securities and investments to get access to. And so, and when I meet those guys, I was like, you know what? And they said, how much do I charge? I was like, it's no fee here. You're prepared and ready. All you needed was just a couple questions answered. I'll send you a summary and utilize that and go to work, knock it out. Say, oh, wow. Okay, great. And that's usually the case in those kind of situations, because they have all the, in your case, you're ready to rock. You don't need a $1,500 meal plan, So, yeah, no. So I completely feel you on that. But I think in terms of, you're definitely headed in the right direction, man. One of my clients is she actually, thank God she's actually retiring. She just retired, actually. But she was the head of nutrition at Morgan State. And, oh, man, I mean, it's so cool to be in the room with her and have her talk about food, and talk about food in a way that it makes your stomach like rumble too, and I ate her food, and it's masterpiece stuff. But at the same time, it's purely focused on food that's going in from an energy perspective, that's going to provide you energy and tastes really good, And so making sure that, like, the fact that you've already connected and kind of have an idea of the type of nutritionist that you want to speak with and have them guide you, you headed in the right direction, brother.
Well, see, the funny thing is that I know it's all about calorie intake. I mean, that's 90% of it. It's there's a couple of apps that I found that helps me out with what you put in your body. It's just 100% calorie intake. I put in, my weight, what I'm doing, my goal. I think, and I was really aggressive. It said I should be maybe 2,500 calories a day.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm like,
so how are we gonna do that?
And right, exactly. Yeah, 2,500 calories a day, and there's like, all right, well, you count everything in this app. You put in the food, and even if you weigh it, you put in food, and it automatically calculates the calories for you, and boom, you're good to go. So, and they're like, that's what you need to do. So I'm like, okay. So now, I found a friend of mine has a weight. One of those little cups, the little cups and little scale. So I can measure the food out and all that. But I'm like, man, do I really want to get into that? I was like, don't really want to get that detailed. Boom, I hit the gym in the morning, then I go for my 5-mile walks.
Got it.
That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah. So anyway, I appreciate everyone for listening. Appreciate input. Unfortunately, I had a fail on my last 30 days. So hopefully I can turn that failure over to a win.
That's it. Hey, man, the drama's in the details, brother. As long as you can, as long as you know it, you know what I'm saying? And that's the big piece. And that's important for everybody who's listening, is the fact that, I mean, we're in the game. And so when you're in the game, it's volatile. Sometimes we're winning, sometimes we're losing. But it's hard for me to say the word lose when people who are actually made the decision to actually be in the game. Now, if you're losing consistently, then now we really have to highlight what fundamentally is off. That's, really throwing you off. But it's just so many people who aren't willing to try. That's, I think, is I would say a massive epidemic, if you will, of just folks who aren't willing to try at all. And this call is really for the people who are willing to try, even though we fail sometimes, So I love it, brother. And I'm glad that you opened it up that way, because, there's a lot of folks who won't say. I've had over the years, folks will say, I ain't going to say nothing because I didn't want to bring it up because I've been failing. Like, okay, we all fail, right? We're all human. So I really appreciate that. Yep. Let's open it up. Anybody else want to highlight? Let's dive into July, man. What's been going on? Open up the call. Let's talk it through. We'll open up the call now.
I just wanted to add that before I jump off, because I have to go to church, that definitely, like, failure is a key to success. Like, literally, failure is the best part to learn about what you did and what's not working, and just kind of revamp or remake what your vision. So that was definitely a good key.
Hey, baby.
Hello, young lady. She's talking to us.
I was like, she agrees.
She's agreeing. She's agreeing with us.
I love it.
But you guys have a beautiful Saturday. I'm gonna jump off. I have to get going. So thank you for inviting me.
I'm gonna leave. No worries. We understand.
Thank you. And we look forward to connecting with y'all later today. All right. Anybody else? Let's dive in. Let's do it. We'll open up the call now. Anybody else ready to jump in and talk about the month of July and where we are, man? This is what it is. We're getting close to 8 o'clock, but we definitely have more time. So we'll open up the call now.
Good morning, participants.
Good morning.
So, Pat and I all realized we had addictions to coffee. And since then, I've definitely tried some other things. I don't know how I feel about that one mushroom. I'm on my second one. I tried the first one that he gave us. The second one I'm on now is called Rise. It works a little bit better. I can't tell if it physically does anything, but I definitely don't. Like, I'll do coffee maybe like once a week, and I think that's been a big deal. Like, I can tell that it's a difference. I want it because I want to taste it versus like I need it. Like, I need coffee because I cuss at people. So that's good. Small things. Business-wise, I really just don't believe working on trying to separate my business stuff still. And you and I talked about it, everything else is going on. But Barry talked about me doing a holding company, because the way what I established my company to do, I'm not doing underneath my company right now. I got a contract that is, in my mind, it connects, but doesn't line up with what the actual company is designed to do. So just really trying to straighten out that back office stuff and getting things in order. I started giving myself a salary. So that was a big thing because I was just stashing money because I had money coming in. So now that I'm only down to one job, I had to like make sure that I'm giving myself a salary and kind of like writing that out. But again, just kind of separating all my stuff right now has been the focal point of setting the company up. I have had some conversations about some other opportunities on the horizon. And so I'm just trying to, again, make sure that my business stuff is in order so the feds don't come after me 5 years from now for what's happening, for what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my big deal right now is like trying to get my life in order on the backside, but getting super crystal clear about my services. It all makes sense to me, but the reality is it has to make sense to the feds. Also finishing up with this yoga certification, and it's just a beautiful process to a certain degree. I was able to get on to Houston for what was scheduled for my graduation. I didn't graduate, but I did go. I met the people, and it was just like super real. And I got to see what are one of the places they were actually offering. Yoga was at the church. And again, this church is very much about more than just being open on Sunday morning. And I don't believe in Sunday morning only churches, but this church is about the community and doing the work. They had I walked in there, they were doing VSB, summer school camps, and they had all the things happening in this church. And so it was that reminder that things don't have to be, I don't have to have a perfect yoga studio. I could be using community spaces to do the work. If I meet in the community, I can actually do it in the community. Yeah. And so not waiting for this idea of perfection, but constantly thinking about iteration. And that's what my business is about iteration, culture change, organizational culture change. So it was just like, hey, ma'am, you can do that here. You can start making some connections with some churches and some community organizations to actually hold classes for the community, in the community. And it doesn't have to be a new space. I don't have to worry about leases and that kind of stuff right now. But I just got to do it. And I think that's the biggest part for a lot of us if we want to see it have to look a certain way or to move the way we think it's supposed to be. Just do it. And your gift literally makes room for itself. And so just that's the reminder that as we're in the work, just keep doing the work, and you have to wait to do the work. And it happens. And you connect with the right people. And my going to Houston, I met one of my girlfriends just moved there, and she's a business strategist coach. And she just got on me. She was like, I'm waiting for you to be motivational speaker. I'm waiting for you to do this. What the hell is going on with you? And I'm like, get out of my business, damn. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But sometimes it takes people that know you. And we've known each other since high school, and we weren't friends. Our friends are friends, and so like we watched each other grow. We've been in each other's lives without being close to one another, and so it was like really interesting of how we were able to like share each other's story to each other, and then also like motivate one another and like. I remember when this happened, I thought about this happening, and I'm so proud of you. And it was like it was both and. She's proud of me, I'm proud of her, and our lives are so different. And so the other piece is we can't be so caught up in comparison. Our lives, God has given us a different purpose, and He's going to move us different places. And how we go about it, it's for that person's journey. Yeah. And so you don't have to do what the other person's done because that's not your story. And so just really being clear about your story and your purpose. And people are watching, like all of that. People are watching to see what you're doing and how you're moving. So that character and integrity and all that stuff, that's the stuff that's going to keep you and build those relationships and maintain those relationships throughout our journey. So that's it.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. As it was a couple of things that you said earlier, and it was, and even when we talked offline, it's amazing. Like that's part of what I was saying with the other sister who was on earlier, is that we have these ideas in our mind, and to us it makes perfect sense, and the way but when you sit down with your tax advisor and they're trying to file your taxes and they're trying to understand, like, wait a second, so is this one business or is it a bunch of different businesses, or what's the deal here? And I think that whenever we have these conversations about ideas plus starting businesses and business development, it's always great to highlight, say, 3 revenue streams. And it could be the case that one of those revenue streams are things that you will do for the rest of your life. As long as you're physically able or mentally able to do it, you would do it, because it's more of a passion, expertise kind of play. There's some other things that you're doing that, you know, it definitely serves the purpose. Now, it could very well be a cash cow right now, and it's helping you to create the volume of assets that you have, the income, the surplus. It's helping to fund your future retirement, and it serves a major role in your overall budget. But it may not be the thing that you love to do the most, you know. And then if you could find a way to combine the two of them and create some type of, you know, always available, I shouldn't say always available, but more of like a subscription type service where people can pay a fee and they get information from you based on a certain amount of hours per month or something like that. But it's all leading toward this one day when you won't have to do the things that you know you have to do right now to take care at home, but it is potentially funding that thing that you want to do for the rest of your life. It may not, that thing that you want to do for the rest of your life may not bring in the most money, but it is the area that you have the most passion. And I had to have that even in my own business, and really take a step back and say, you know, what am I really trying to do here? You know, who am I really trying to reach? And is it paying the bills? You know, so and when you get to that point, it helps to create that necessary realign. Because when you have, for folks who have big goals, a lot of times those goals come with, you know, expenses. And, you know, even right now, you know, being here in Martha's Vineyard, my brain is all on fire about what is possible. But that means as soon as I leave here, I need to go to work, you know, in terms of in those areas that can help me scale faster and fine and tuning your business every day. And, you know, making sure everything's organized and in compliance with the IRS and the state, if you have to pay state taxes where you live, but putting it together. And that stuff is simple. You know, we can have a phone call just like Ty, as you and I've had, and we can organize the way to make it, you know, tax compliant. But the part that's so important is you stay in active mode and tweaking mode and making the dream better, making the process better, you know, every day. And, you know, just kind of thinking about the immediate and the long-term goals. As long as you're doing that, it's all, like you said, it's just all going to fall where it plays. And even based on our conversation, it's clear that those pieces are going to come together, especially when you're talking about the yoga piece. And the fact that you found a market, that there's so many markets like that. There's so many churches who are looking to add to their, you know, their ministries, if you will, or if it was a normal nonprofit, you know, their program of work, and to be able to offer those kind of services to ministries is a home run, because every church should be a community church. Every church should have resources for the people who come there every day, from the youth to the elderly, you know. So that is a market that will pay itself, will pay for you, you know, and stay active as long as you want to do it, you know. So, and hopefully, and it sounds like that could very well become a passion business that could easily become profitable. So, sounds good to me.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's passion, but it's necessary. But we're hurting, all of us, physically, mentally. Facts. We got to get some stuff together. So let's do that. So yeah, thank you, dude.
Facts. All right. Anybody else? Let's open up the call. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Want to dive in about their July? Let's open up the call now. All right. So we're right here at 8 o'clock. I definitely, I'm going to speak a little bit about my July and then kind of morph into this. This July has been something. It's been, you know, for me, I kind of peppered into it. You know, when we talk about the month of doing, you know, as I started back in Memorial Day with I set out on, all of you guys know this. I set out on a goal to set up 100 financial plans in 100 days. And I probably, let's say around, you know, let's say a day 11, realized that this was not a plan that I really wanted to do. It sounded like a great idea, right? It sounded like a great idea. It sound noble. It sound all of those things. And after having, say, 11 conversations, I realized it not, and it wasn't the thing I should be doing for a couple of reasons. One, I guess there's a reason why, when you talk about financial planning, there's a reason why there's a fee for it, you know, because it's time consuming. And when you talk about the volume in a short amount of time, there's also a factor of there's a demographic of folks who are willing to pay, and they'll do the work, and they'll do the work to execute the plan. There's also a demographic of folks who are completely non-committal and they've wasted your time and you didn't get no money on it, right? So you have to, that was my big aha in June. But with that being said, it did open up a world that I have so not had on my radar. And it has kind of, I can't say yet. So maybe at the end of, you know, the end of the by Labor Day, I'll be able to officially say this was the move. But I guess my whole point is that when you attempt something, you go after it, you realize it didn't work, but then you ask yourself, what did I learn from this? What did I learn? And you start figuring out, what did you learn? And one thing I'll say, what I did learn, actually, I'm going to talk about this with you guys, because I don't want to get too technical, but I think it's worth the conversation. So one thing I learned about that process of having 100 financial plans in 100 days is that at the end of the day, we're talking to working people. We're talking to people who are working, and they have been working for, you know, decades, right? And their issue in many ways is a current budget cash flow issue. So that's kind of the issue why I need a financial plan, because I'm having a current budget cash flow issue. But so when you talk about that, and then you just kind of get into the goals of what they're trying to do, what we don't talk about a lot is where have you been saving over those years, over those 10, 20, 30 years, and where did you do it, and that kind of thing. And I actually through those conversations, so I shouldn't poo-poo this whole thing, right? Because through those conversations, I actually came up with a new philosophy, if you will, in terms of money management long term. So I'm gonna share a little bit of this and not get too, unless you guys want to get technical, and we can do it. But on the surface level, if you've been working, you know, you graduated from college, wherever or you started the workforce after high school, and you work, and let's just say in those first 20 years of your career, you change jobs, you know, from, you know, maybe 3 or 4 times, whatever the case may be, in 20 years. And I always ask people, what did you do? Number one, did you participate in the retirement plan? And if you did, what'd you do with the money? And so most of the time, to be honest with you, folks say, it's still over there. I don't know. I mean, I got to figure out how to get back in contact with the people and get it rolled over and that kind of thing. And my recommendation, especially for folks who are, let's just say, 40 and older, and if they've moved and went to different companies and all that, between 20 and 40, definitely, if you move to a new job, take that money, roll it into the next 401k plan or 403b or whatever retirement plan you have. You just keep rolling it. If your goal is to retire, say 55, 60 or later, take the money, roll it. And then, and the benefit of that is, number one, you get the compound interest, but probably number two, and very close to number two, is that money is appropriately invested. Because the last thing you want is your 28-year-old allocation to represent your now 45-year-old, allocation. So you want to make sure it's still lined up with where you are and how soon you plan to retire. But for folks who are over the age of 40, and you may be in a situation you're saying, you know what, I know I said I was going to retire at 65, but 55 looks like what I'm trying to do right now. Then what you want to do with that money is either one or two things, and it depends on your risk tolerance at this point. Is you either want to lock in, on the worst case scenario, you want to lock in those whatever you gained. So you don't want to keep that money exposed to the markets. So at that point, you either want to lock in those gains out on the worst side, but on the more aggressive side, you want to have it to begin to purchase or do some of the things that you want to do during retirement. So for instance, if you want to, I always talk about like these vacation homes, like especially for people who love to travel. Say, well, what's your favorite travel destination? Miami Beach or, Mexico or whatever the case may be. Okay, great. Well, buy a condo and own it. And you can go there whenever you have time to go. But when you're not there, it's earning money for you. And you take a portion of your retirement and set up the right types of accounts where it can own that asset versus you getting taxed on it and pulling money out of old retirement accounts. And now you realize, oh man, I took out $50,000 last year, and now they kind of didn't realize they weren't counted as income because that's because it wasn't rolled into the right accounts. But either you do that and let the rental income produce for you, or you say, hey, I'm not willing to do all that. If you're not willing to do that, then you lock in the gains that you've had over the past 20 years and set up like an annuity, like an index annuity, where it locks it in, but you still get growth. And when you're ready to turn on the income, it's ready, it's grown, and it's in that money, it's like you created your own pension for people who don't have pensions, right? It's only a select few of your educators or maybe work for companies who still offer pension plans, but this is your way to create your own pension and not lose when the market chooses to go down, right? So I picked that philosophy came from me trying to be ambitious and noble at the same time. So I would have all these conversations and set up financial plans for 100 people. But what I found really was that they're dealing with cash flow issues. So we do have more of a cash flow planning conversation. But at the same time, let's make sure that what they have accumulated actually is protected and or adding value to the goals that they're trying to accomplish right now. So my big aha from all of that is the fact that, when we talk about failures, I think I got and even out of the 11 days, I think I got 5 or 6 plans, out of my goal of 100. So that was definitely a big failure. But the big takeaway was the fact that a new philosophy came out. And I should add that new philosophy, which I did not have a lot of, like, for instance, like even just setting up annuities. I did not have a lot of annuities in my portfolio. And I didn't realize how well annuities paid. So I was like, oh, really? Oh, that's how that works? Got it. So you want to, number one, target the right fit for folks. But definitely, and that goes back to the conversation we had earlier about if there is, find out the things that can help you scale. And it may not be your passion project, but it can help you to fund your passion project. We all got to have that in our portfolio. That one thing that we know. I was in Baltimore the other week and went to, first of all, if you haven't been to the Northwood Commons in Baltimore, which is the new commercial complex next to Morgan State, got to go. I mean, everything is there. It's foot number one. It's right next to Morgan State. It's in the middle of a predominantly black community. It's built by a black developer. It's designed by a black architect. There's a black bank there. There's the accounting firm. It's just a black utopia, and it's an example of what's possible when you can really be intentional about building a real black ecosystem. And then when you go to the retailers, so DTLR is there, and we were in DTLR, and they had a hat, and the hats were all made by black designers. And one of the hats, they're just so cool. It's hats that I don't even wear these style of hats, but I had to get it. And one of them had this emblem on it, and it was a cow. It was a picture of a cow, but above the cow it said cash. And so, meaning it's that impressionable cash cow. Like, you should be thinking about creating a cash cow. The other was a picture of a goat, and then it just, had the actual acronym GOAT up there. And it's just those little things like that. I was like, okay, this is hot. I got to get it. And it was actually, much more than I usually would spend on a hat. But again, it's the fact of we're spending money in creating and supporting an ecosystem. So definitely go over there and check out that spot. I forgot actually why I even brought up what comes. but I completely forgot. Maybe it was the fact of the cash cow. Yeah, so the cash cow is what you want to make sure when you're looking at all your revenue streams. And if you work for folks who just work full time, and I'm a W-2, at that moment, your W-2 job is your cash cow, because that's sending you're getting paid. You're exchanging your time for money. But what we advocate is 3 revenue streams. So you got one, now go find other 2. You got to find the other one. And we talked about the fact of having a passion project, but you also want to make sure that that passion project has a road to profitability, and more will come out. More revenue potential opportunities will come out of that. And just like in this example of having this new epiphany about new ways to create new revenue streams, I wouldn't have gotten to that point if I wouldn't have had this one goal of setting up 100 financial plans, as we talked about back at Memorial Day. So I just wanted to highlight that it's the work of doing and being in the process of just testing stuff out every day. That is part of the success story. That's part of the journey. And if you're not at least attempting something else, we literally cannot expect to receive any change, and I'll tell you something else, and and I will open up the call after this, but there have been other things that I could have listed a bunch of other things as failures. But because my mindset is so focused on what we're building, and I can see how this will end, I don't count what on paper would be a failure as failures, because I see where we're going. But if we don't have a direction and we aren't really so focused on that end objective, then yeah, you're going to wallow in failures. I was about to tell a story about not even a client, but someone who is in that situation right now, who's wallowing in failures, and because their big goal is not there, and also is one of those kind of people who just thinks they got it all figured out. Like, I know this. I've been doing this a long time. Like, yeah, you've been doing the wrong thing a long time. You look at your history of this, that, and I'm like, at some point, you have to be able to point the finger back to yourself. There's nothing wrong with getting competent people in here to help. And we have to recognize when we are in the way of our own success. We just have to do it. And a lot of times it is us. If we find ourselves making a lot of excuses and blaming other people enough, it's probably us. That's just, we got to get to that point. We just have to know that. And for a call like this that focuses on personal development, if we aren't talking about that, if we can't look in the mirror and realize that the role we play in our successes and in our failures, then what's the purpose? What's the point? We're not. This is not about let's organize a pity party and blame game kind of thing. We are here to make sure that we know where we are. We're transparent, we're honest, and in a position to create progress in our activities and everything that we're working on. So, so that's really, I just want to make sure that we're still focused there, that we're not lost in our own sauce, right? So I'll pull back. Anybody have questions, comments? Want to share where you are? This is highly important, and I definitely want to suck up the room. So we'll open up the call now.
Hey,
my brother Morris, how you feeling, man?
Yes, sir. Good morning, man. I'm fantastic, man. We are on our way to the lovely Atlantic Ocean City. So I'm already, it's funny, yeah, the caravan is happening. We've been loading up cars. Car broke down. It wouldn't make it, so we had to make a U-turn and drop off something and re-up, and I was back on the road. But so there's your first failure in July. You know what I'm saying? We failed to leave. We failed to leave at 6 as slated. So I'm still taking out as July goes by. But I have my headphones in and I just been plugged in, just listening. And because I need to sponge up all the information. So I heard everybody's stuff. So I'm excited. And finally, one baby was asleep in the back, the other one is tablet, mother is to my right, and we are driving very daintily down 97. However,
and y'all already you hadn't made it over the bridge yet, huh?
No, please, no. We're like at an international right now, and just as I talk to you, the red lights are beginning. The brake lights are beginning.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, buddy.
Here we go. Ain't nothing like a traffic jam. It's nothing like a traffic jam on top of the Chesapeake Bay. Hey, Pat, you gotta tell Miss Alta, we met her sister yesterday. we met.
Maria and him met your sister in Martha's Vineyard, so they must have met your doppelganger or something like that. Same woman, ready to roll.
Rhea came up to me and she was like, she said that lady reminded me so much of Miss Alta.
She reminded you. I tell you, that lady is everywhere. There's no place I go to somebody don't tell me, you look just like so-and-so. Just like so-and-so. Exactly. We were not with our parents, you know what I'm saying, their whole life.
You don't know what's going on.
I wasn't with you your whole life. No. Every time I go to Mondawmin, somebody says, hey, man, are you? Oh, I thought you were somebody else. I'm like, what is going on?
Every time I go to Mondawmin.
Every time I walk in Mondawmin, hey, man, hey, this week you got my money? Oh, I don't know you, sir. Oh, my bad. I thought you was
Oh, my bad, my brother.
Were they nice to her?
Oh, yes, man.
My mother asked, were they nice to her?
Yeah, they were lovely, though. She was lovely. We felt like you were there, though. She was so you, and they're probably around the same age, too, right? Yeah. So cool.
Okay.
So cool.
They extended all the courtesy and the love that you have garnered for them. She was actually living off your credit. They're giving her a lot of credit based on what you've done for them. Okay, I got it. I hope this chick, whoever she is, fake Paz's mother, you know what I'm saying, appreciate
Paz's mother.
Fake Paz's mother.
Fake Paz.
Martha's Vineyard. In Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. We on it. So it's exciting, and I'm happy, and I'm glad that I got everybody. We in the motion, and this isn't the first time that we've been traveling or been moving, and the call has happened. But it's always good to just plug in. I feel good about that. Since we talking about all our L's and our they say you don't take an L, you take a lesson.
Understood.
You can add that to the
That's what L stands for.
Failures. It stands for lesson. Yeah, I took an L. So I took what L did I take? I took so many L's this month. However, the main one. Here's a big one. Oh man, my 75 hard is so soft right now. Brother. I was doing 75 hard.
Yes.
Oh man, I was on it. I was working out. Oh man, I was running. My nutrition was right. I was reading my two. I was taking my my selfie every morning. Showing off. I'm not showing off, but documenting everything.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was brother. It was 16-year-old boy level of hardness. Now my joint is 85-year-old man soft. You know what I'm saying? That's where I am with that. You know what I'm saying?
How long did you go
today, though? Brother. Oh, we good. No, see, it's crazy. I think total, I pulled off about 34, something like that. 34, 35.
35 days? Okay.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more, because it started to sputter. I started getting it. I was straight, then it was like, oh no, I got 3 days. Oh no, hold on, I'm gonna get I get 2. Like, well, I do some of it 4 days, and then so it's sputtered. So I'm gonna claim 34. Okay. And just say, but it wasn't 34 straight. However,
35 hard.
Here's the lesson. Yeah, exactly. Lesson. Here's the lesson that we got. But we on our what we learned from them. One was that it was interesting that you and Dwayne earlier were talking about the whole nutrition thing, because where I didn't falter at all, and I guess I'm not doing the 75 hard, but I like in the nutrition part, there has been no, like I haven't violated it at all. I set my diet, and that's just what it was. My gallons, I've been getting my gallons in, no alcohol. I just been proteins and greens. That's it.
Okay.
For lunch and so no pizzas, no ice cream, none of the stuff, no sodas, so I don't do too much sodas. But you know what I'm saying? Like there's none of that. Like I've been living clean. Even in the eyes of adversity.
Yeah.
When that Domino's pulls up to your brother-in-law's house. Good. I'm not messing with y'all. That's all you eat? Yeah.
That's all you eat?
You sitting around with your stout business partners who are the masters of Chinese food and or a heavy cheesesteak.
Yeah.
So you ordering something? No, I'm not. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock this salad out, and actually it's mighty tasty. So in doing that and faltering on all the other stuff, like not working out consistently, there has been no spike in my weight. There's been no spike in my energy. Dip in the energy. There's been so with the dietary thing, I have been able to maintain to the point where I started being like, that kind of sucked me out. I'm like, I don't even have to really work. I'm good, man. You look at yourself, you hop on the scale, the same number. Interesting.
Yeah.
Same number. Interesting. Okay. And then when y'all were talking about the 70, the 70% of it is diet. And that lesson is learned, and I'm actually living that lesson currently, to the point where I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna even eat any of the famous dough rollers pizza down here when I'm in Ocean City. I'm just gonna bang these strawberries out. You know what I'm saying? You do what you want to do. I'm on a mission. But the lesson there was that it really actually does work, and it can be done. And I haven't felt over the hump of feeling the anxiety about the dietary stuff.
Okay.
So it's no more, it's no more going to the, driving past the Dunkin' Donuts and being like, I can't wait until
this is over.
This thing is over. Because I'm going, oh man, I know what I normally get, but it's not that anymore. Like that piece is just done. And I'm saying it was easy. Just like, Santa was saying with the coffee thing, which is, what's up? But it's like, I'm not saying it was easy, but it occurred and it's happening now. And I learned like, wow, okay, so this portion of it is good. Now I'm not saying I'm giving up on the exercise piece,
okay.
But I learned that those percentages are true because I don't think ever in life I've like really spent this amount of time really focused on diet, and mainly because I'm a thin guy, so
yeah,
I've never really thought that much, like really that much about being strict or just or really curating meals every single meal. It's always been like I'm gonna eat okay, and then I can eat what I want though if I want to.
Yeah,
it's been like no, I'm just not gonna do that, and it's been interesting that it works so well. So,
what kind of results are you looking for? What are the results you're looking for?
If you go to Netflix, and it might not be on Netflix, you might have to go to HBO Max. If you go to iRobot,
okay,
and you look at the third scene where my man Will Smith is like just working out for no reason with no shirt on, just doing like shit, leg up or something hanging over the thing.
That's what you're looking for.
I'm going for 30-year-old height of his career, Will Smith, sex symbol.
Okay.
That's what I was going for, workout wise. But really, the true thing that I'm going for is control.
Okay.
Over myself, and again, mental control, so that as other things come that I have to overcome, I'm looking for something internally that I can gravitate to, in addition to God that says, oh yeah, you definitely can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like proof that I'm in control, because I don't want to feel out of control as I get older. I don't want food to just control me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to walk in someplace and I can't use my mind. I automatically just walk in someplace and it's just like, get your credit card or get your wallet out. Yeah, you're gonna buy this and that. Before you know it, and then you just leave. You just leave like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
I wasn't that hungry. Like I'm totally out of control.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to do that. And if I was that happy, I've been, in transportation and all that kind of stuff, and moving around and going to go talk to people and all this kind of stuff. And I just be driving past the Dunkin' Donuts, like I'm not just, well, hey, I'm gonna get a coffee and a whisper coffee.
Yeah.
You aren't even thinking about it. It's the fact that it was there. You pulled into it. Rolled down your window, talked to that lady, handed her your money. She handed you that food, and you just pulled off. Like, golly, I didn't even want that. So the idea that I, the idea that I can be in control of my thoughts in that way, and then to apply that same control to things that I know are going to be difficult. Like, all right, you do have to, make this phone call, and you do have to have this tough conversation. You do have to have this tough conversation. Like, you running the show, man. You run the show.
Yeah.
This is just a meat suit. Like, you want to make this thing happen, you run it. So, and to me, that's just the easy, well, not the easiest way, but the most available way.
Mm-hmm.
It's available because I'm right here in my body the whole time. So it's available to me all the time to make those decisions. So that's what the actual goal is, to be in control of that. So I got part of it down. I've had it for 45 days, or maybe before that, because we were doing the challenge preview.
Yeah.
Just one more thing to master, self-mastery. But that's been it. But I'm getting back. I'm going back out. I'm working back out. I'm not giving up on that. But I definitely didn't. 75. I'm doing 75 flaccid is where I am right now.
Yeah. I do have one more question to ask you on this. I got one more question. Have you not had coffee at all?
Oh, coffee's done.
Coffee's done.
I haven't sniffed coffee out the window. I walk into the World Farms like I can't believe how I just assisted you in building at least 4 locations.
Building this business.
At least 4 locations. I've invested heavily into the Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, I love them as businesses, but no, I haven't had it. And at this point, I'm like, when I go back to it, I haven't even had coffee ice cream, which is one of my favorite ice creams in the world. So I just haven't. But at this point, I mean, it's okay. Like I can have a cup and be like, all right, this is what it is. But I just, opted not to. I don't really need it.
But you supplemented it, right?
I mentioned that rise thing.
Because you're doing mud. There was mud.
Yep, and that's done now. So I'm doing the mud water, and that ran out. Like, they put you on a subscription, and I ran out of it, and it hadn't come yet. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm just drink this water, man. I'm good. So I wanted to look into the rise thing. Rhea had sent it. I heard Santana mention it, so I was gonna the mud water will be here soon, but I wanted to try that and see if it was good. But yeah, that's it. Rise is what I was just talking about. No, that's what I was on the rise too. Everybody's on the rise. I think Rise is the best marketing team. What it is.
Yeah.
You got too good a marketing team. Now you're trying to control me again.
Once
Leave
again.
me alone, sir. Leave me alone.
Wow.
Leave me alone. But that's it. That's been, that journey, and then all the other. We can talk about all the event center stuff and all that kind of fun stuff too. But that's been the most, personal part of it, and it's consistent and it's daily, and I live with my body.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. This is a good look. Well, I tell you, we're at 8:36, and I think we've really highlighted the work. It sounds like collectively we've all been able to point to the activity which comes with failure sometimes, right? And for me, that's a win, because there's so many people who aren't willing to accept failure. And I just feel good that I'm in a room of folks who can talk about losses, but still see what's possible. And that's the end of the day. I want to stay in rooms like that, right? that's the goal. I want to shift real quick, man, and just talk a little bit about this week. Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I can't mention it. Before you shift, I just wanted to, Brother Pass, thanks for speaking there. It was good to hear from you. I hadn't spoken to you a second, so I appreciate your story. I just want to just touch on the one point that you said before Pass spoke, which is the multiple lines of income.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So thank you. Yeah, so thanks for reconfirming that. So as you know, I'm always, I have my main business, well, not my business that I've been doing for the last 20 years, which is my telecom consulting group, OneStar PBX, which is voice data circuits for luxury hotels and resorts. So I've always been, I'm trying to put another iron in the fire. So as you know, I was doing the website development with Dante, who did your website. And by the way, I don't know if you spoke to him that, but he was in the hospital. He had surgery with his brain. So I don't know if you were trying to reach out to him or anything.
I actually have. We got to talk offline. I have. Okay. I need Dante's help like ASAP. So
the problem is though, the problem is he had surgery on his brain, so there's some nerves and things. So we can talk offline about that. But I think I can find someone. If he can't get to you, I think I have someone else for you. I can help you out because I'm not sure with his health.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to talk about was that 2 lines of income, just real fast. The one you guys know about Soul, the Streams of Life, the CBD product, which I am getting another bottle of that for muscle relief. But the second thing is, I put iron in, is that a friend of mine came to me about EV charging stations, which is for your electric vehicle. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, you know what? I need to just stay focused on one thing, maybe two things. So I wasn't even thinking about the EV. But when you said two, when you say you got your main one, then you need two others, so we have three, I'm all in. So thank you for the confirmation of saying, hey, you got your main one, good, but you need two others. So that's all I want to say on that.
Well, and I'm actually glad you mentioned that, right? Because this is actually what Dwayne is saying right now is extremely important. And I want to highlight this. So the truth in the case of Dwayne, but this is also the case for many of you and folks who are listening. I'm going to use Dwayne right now, though. People come to Dwayne a lot for, advice on sales, business development, marketing, things like that, because they know he's an outgoing person and he has a history of being, in business development, the whole nine. And I think it's definitely important to, just own that as its own entity. Like you look at situations like an EV with Soul, you're going to have multiple contracting opportunities for people to attempt to to contract your services, and they're just contracts, and that is its own revenue stream. So I will tell you right now, you have the great potential to scale that because you can pick up multiple contracts based on people wanting you to help them market their service, their product and services. And especially for folks who, and you take a step back and there's certain markets that you have, they're a lot easier for you to get a service or product in front of a client versus others, which is going to require more work because you may not have the relationships and all, but they still believe in your skill set. I think it's worth you really taking a step back and marketing your or documenting a business that's purely about business development and sales and marketing, and then they have to engage you for those types of deals, and that represents one revenue stream in itself. So you got your day-to-day, your 9 to 5, you got your LLC, which is a business development and sales LLC. And then you have something else. So I just want to clump that in because, again, like I say, you're going to have other people wanting to have you help them, and you have to make sure you manage your time, and you do it in a way that's scalable, and it shows a proof of productivity and how to get them there. So that's the case. I know for a lot of folks that you do something really well, and people are always asking you, hey, can you help me with this and that? Just wrap it all in an LLC, and that will serve as one revenue stream for you. So just wanted to throw it out there with Dwayne.
Beautiful. I appreciate it. You know what? And again, like the light bulb just went off when you said that. I was like, oh, maybe I should just do that. Just have it, like one, LLC, and then when people come to me, yeah, no problem. Yep, I have this company, and you know what? You can 1099. Here you go. See you later.
That's
bye.
Exactly right. That's
you know
exactly right.
So,
that's exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not worrying about, hey, well, that's a great business. Is a way that I can be a partner in your business. No, my business is to sell your product and service. That's it.
That's it. That is it. And on a contract basis.
Yep.
On a contract basis, right?
Yep. On contract. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
So basically, my L with no, not my L. So there's a thing I have with my kids. I call it the 3L, life lesson learned.
Yeah.
So my 3Ls for July was my coach who didn't work out, but then my life lesson learned is, and within the same month is just that. You know what? I need to create my LLC, and then the business is, sales and marketing for other people's products. OPP, baby.
Yes.
I'm old. I know. I threw it in there. I threw it out there. I'm old. I know.
I love it.
Thank you. But thank you both. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
Yeah. So we're roughly right here. We got about 15 minutes. I wanted to just kind of take a second and talk a little bit about this place here in Martha's Vineyard, and why it's important. I'll tell you, just really from an African American perspective. I'm not sure if I've ever. Well, let me say in a long time. this is a place where it's almost a sense of refuge, if you will. It's like, in this, and the way things are right now, and like in terms of the politics in America, the whole nine, and you're always kind of looking over your back, looking over your shoulder, like, as a black man in America, it's just always like, oh, man, what are they thinking about me? All this, it's just one moment where you just feel like, this whole week, I just felt like I didn't have to do that. I just didn't have to worry about what they think about me, kind of thing. This place has this historical factor of being available for African Americans to buy property long before the United States were allowing Black folks to buy property. And they did it. And it's a portion of Martha's Vineyard called Oak Bluffs. And this whole, and all this is off the coast of Massachusetts. And there's this whole story, even when you go back to the beaches, and there was a section of the beach that, okay, this part of the beach is y'all. So, this is, you can go into this beach, and they call it the Inkwell, because they figured, well, it's Black folks, Black folks get in the water, it's going to ink, right? So it's crazy when you think about it like that. But for over a century, it's been that refuge. And I had just a great conversation yesterday with a business owner here, a Black business owner who's been here for 40 years. And he just talked about how, it's over the 40 years, it's just more and more African Americans have come, bought properties, and it's the summer homes, if you will. It's the investment properties where, the houses here on average from Memorial Day to Labor Day sell or rent for $10,000 a week. You just do the numbers. This is where wealth is being accumulated, has been accumulated for years. We had conversations with folks. This one guy, a couple, and they were probably in their early 70s. This man's grandfather bought a house here. They live in Richmond, Virginia. Bought a house here in 1955, willed it to him. So basically skipped his dad and aunts and uncles, willed it to him. And he was 23 years old at the time. And he and his wife are now 70, 71, 72, 73. And they have, they had early retirement because of that property, because it's been rented out over the years at high rent. So it's not like, a lot of times people say, I got rental properties, but they're just breaking even, right? Because they still have mortgages and all that. It is, and on top of that, there's just this, like, so the last 2 weeks, which is like, we're getting ready to leave, but starting roughly tomorrow of the next 2 weeks, it's the African American Cultural Arts Festival. So this place is going to be flooded with just Black wealth, folks who, as you walk around the city, there's these signs for, all these, in the Black Arts Film Festival is next week. So you name a Black actor, they're coming, they're going to be running workshops, they're going to be showing their independent films. They'll be, the HBCUs, the presidents and the boards and the whole nine are coming to do fundraising events all week next week. The heads of the Black banks are all coming down to strategize for the year. It is definitely a cultural experience. Like, for real. And my whole piece of this is that we don't, as a people, and particularly just Black people, we don't know enough about our story and our history. We know, and it's been threatened right now. Like, let's not talk about it in the schools. I had a conversation the other week, or actually earlier this week. I was like, it was even in school, like when we were growing up, they didn't talk about Black history. If it wasn't for my mom pumping that kind of stuff into me and my siblings, we wouldn't know either. It's like it. there's more of a, and when I think about this whole, Black history in school kind of stuff, there wasn't a lot of Black history taught in school when we were coming up. There's more of an effort to have it taught now, and they're just pushing back as hard as they can to say, no, we need to keep it the way it's been. We don't want to talk about it. I know y'all trying to force us to talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. So as a Black community, we have to say, yo, yeah, we'd love for them to talk about this in school, but we cannot end there. We have to own our own narratives. We have to share our own stories. I don't want them watering down my story. I want the real. And they don't want it. They don't want that kind of stuff to pass through to, those stories are, a lot of those stories are extremely painful, but it's history, right? So we have to tell it, and we have to do it in an organized way. We have to have massive family reunions. Like, we have to have pilgrimages, things that can, that is unique to our culture. And it's not just about class either. It's about a holistic movement, and it's going to require decades of strategy and planning, but it's so worth it. I recommend everybody at some point, as a bucket list, to at least come and spend, the first week in August, a couple of days in August in Martha's Vineyard. Just make it a bucket list. I'm going to go to the African American Cultural Arts Festival in Martha's Vineyard, Oak Bluffs, the first week of August before you die. That's all I got to say. You don't have to be an every year thing, but just at least say, I'm going to do it. Because it's definitely worth it. And that's all I got. And that's all I got. I will just say I've been telling the guys here, because we're like a families have come together and rented out this house. And actually my good friend who from a long time ago, he's been telling me to come visit. He's been coming here for the past, say, 35 years, his family. And his grandmother has had a property here since the 70s. And I finally said, all right, we're going to go. I told him earlier, I was like, I'm still trying to get my words together for this place and what we've seen and experienced. And I haven't gotten them yet because I can't even finish this off the right way. So it's going to take me a couple weeks to kind of process it all. But I think the big more of the story is there's more available to us than we see every day. And we just have to stay connected. We have to stay intentional. We have to always recognize and know and believe that our, even when our mental health gets, there's an attack on it, and say, and you maybe slip into anxiety and depression. You just always kind of have to know that there's more available, that there's still more. You may not, it may not be in front of your face right now, but that's, and that's why I always pray to God for clarity. Send me clarity and good people who can invest in my spirit and my mind. So I'm not just using what I know and understand, but I'm in a position to attract the right people and resources to increase my level of understanding, because it's what's all in here right now is not what's all that's available. And if we just have to know that,
I like her.
Who you like?
Right.
I said, who do you like? So that's Tysana. Yeah. So
sorry.
It's all good. But it's all I got. Anybody else have any questions, comments, want to dive in before we finish up for the day?
I guess I just have one comment and question.
Yeah.
In reference to your trip up to Martha's Vineyard, which is so I know it's on brand and life, and you know what I'm saying, and it's I gotta come up with a term for it. But when they were like, yeah, he's going up to Martha's Vineyard, like, what is they going up in Martha's He sold out. He's finally sold out. He sold out. This brother has finally cashed it in. I knew he was going to cash it in. I said, they got him down there. They done talked him into it. Now they got him in Martha's Vineyard. And he's joining the Illuminati. Take it to the next level. I'm thinking about it.
Yo.
But
can't be farther from the truth.
To hear that this is happening, I know. I'm just, I'm joking, but I was like, what is in Martha's Vineyard? I just thought y'all was, exploring whatever. But to hear that there was this thing happening there, that's my comment. To hear that this is occurring now, I said, who knew? So I appreciate you exploring and then bringing that back, because it's never what I thought that there's like a Black Mecca kind of family reunion of the upper class and the bourgeois, the Negroes in the United States that I'm missing out on in Martha's Vineyard. So I thank you for plugging us in, and I will definitely put it on the list.
Yeah.
This is very surprising that that's happening in Martha's Vineyard. Very surprising, but that's what's up.
Yeah, I mean, and if I'm being honest, like my man, who he's been telling me about it for years. Like when we were in college, like right out of college, it's like, yeah, man, you got to come up. And I was like, all right, cool. But I've known the parts of the history for a long time, but it's something you got to see. I don't even know any other to say it. I mean, it's just one of them situations where we've traveled the whole island, and it's not the whole island that's for Black folks. It's Oak Bluffs. Oak Bluffs. Imagine, if probably the best way to explain it is that Oak Bluffs is like the HBCU of the island. It's like, because literally, you're out here in Cape Cod, Nantucket. This is where the Kennedys, the Bushes,
right.
Chappaquiddick, all that. Like you're talking about extreme uber wealth out here. Oak Bluffs is where the Black folks who have amassed some wealth live, and or own homes, if you will. And so, because they're not here all year round, right? It's like this is a summertime getaway, because it's gonna get cold here in about 2 months, right? So, but I guess the bigger piece, and I think, and it could just very well be at what stage of life I'm at right now, like as far as what my goals are. I'm just there's literally, I'm so focused on. We had this conversation earlier this week. My focus is so locked in on Black progress. I don't even know how to shape my conversations anymore, other than like, and it's not just about class progress. It's about how do we really address every piece of it. Like, we had a real interesting conversation this week. I know about it. This is going to definitely take us into 9 o'clock, but we had a real interesting conversation this week about what does Black progress really look like. And so on the surface level, it's, do we want like all Black people to be middle class? And what does that even really mean? And I'm like, that's not it. And I always go back. I know I told you this story past, but I always go back to, it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I went into Dovecote, the coffee shop off of Whitelock, in that area, by Reservoir Hill area, and Black owned.
Yeah.
And I went in there, and I walked in there and just saw people who would never work in corporate America, ever. But they had full, and the reason why I say that is because, some of them had mohawks, piercings all throughout nose and ears and all that kind of stuff, tats, different color this, different color that. But it was flowing. It was straight commerce happening up in there. Like, it was like, you could see it. You could see exchanging, and, you saw some, elected officials in there. You saw the local business people in there. You saw coffee being moved. You saw the scones. You saw, it was real economics, right? And I'm like, that's at the end of the day, if these folks are able to take that dollar, go back and build their families, which is now building the community, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build self-sustainability where we're not so, just getting like paid slavery, if you will. Like we're trying, I believe it's an economic solution. And if you solve the economic solution, it addresses the socio issues, and so it addresses the community issues. It addresses the drugs. It addresses the crime. It addresses all those other pieces. And people just want to look comfortable in their own skin, and for a corporation to show up in town and say, well, we're here to hire a bunch of people and this is what we got to do. And this is our corporate culture. And the folks who there just like, yo, man, I don't want to walk around looking like Whitey. I don't want to have to change the way I talk just so I can get a job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're right.
So I think that's the bigger point that I think that from a mass scale, that's not being talked about. It's the fact that we're being for you to have economic progress in this country, you gotta conform to this. And we a lot of times we laugh about it, especially black folks who went to college and all that kind of stuff talk about like, oh, I'm from XYZ place and this is how we talk. And like, you don't talk like that no more because you've been conformed to talk corporate America. And I'm talking, that's just how it is. Whereas when you go back to your spot,
right,
they still talk the same way y'all used to talk when we were kids, right? So it's like somebody chose to go that route and the other one chose not to. One wears a blazer and the other still rocking the white tee. So it shouldn't be one way to middle class and upper middle class. It's not just, and then at the same time, because there are a lot of folks who are multimillionaires and they still not accepted. I'm like, well, I don't want to be accepted into what you call something. I just want us to progress as a people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, so yeah, we've had those conversations this week, but I think it's a conversation that we haven't had enough as a people that we have to begin to unpack and we think about the youth so they cannot, so they don't have to go down the same path. They can feel comfortable about saying, I think I want to start this. Okay, great. How do we operationalize what it is that you feel good about doing? You think and understand, and let's create a commerce around that. I think for me, I think it starts with the economics and community, and we can address all the other issues, so yeah, that's all I got. It's 9:01. So yeah. And it's interesting though how, like, I think in recent years the call has really morphed into kind of an open conversation, which I'd be honest. Yeah, dialogue, which I definitely need, because a lot of times you can't talk about some of these things, even though, like I told you, folks are watching, right? And I'm like, cool, well, you got in on the conversation, it's a kitchen conversation.
Right.
And so hopefully that sparks some ideas. And if you're in power and can begin to do some things, and maybe it's helping to shape policy, if you will, because that's what we really need. But more importantly, I really hope that these types of conversations enter the homes of Black families. And we start looking at our kids like, okay, this ain't about fun and games. They're pumping your head with a lot of stuff that don't matter. You turn that television and you open up that phone, social media, they're pumping stuff that does not matter. So how do you combat that? What are you preparing yourself for? So that's another conversation.
Yeah.
Anybody else before we finish up for the day?
Just want to say thanks again. I appreciate everyone's time, everyone's input. I really appreciate it. So thank you, everybody. Dr. D, thank you very much.
My brother. All right, good deal. So we're leaving here today or tomorrow, not sure, and then we'll be in Baltimore next week. So let's catch up, folks in Baltimore. Let's get together. And if you're not in Baltimore, we'll see you next month. Have a good one.
Make a pit stop in Philly. Let's make a pit stop in Philly.
Hey, we might do that too. That's true. I'll hit you up, let you know.
I'm right here.
Sounds good.
Cool.
All right, brother.
All right. Later.